Good evening. Welcome to our second event, second portion or second episode of the Bobcat Family Connection. Tonight we have our amazing school counseling team with us, and they've got some great information to help you and your child succeed with virtual learning. Tonight, this event is being recorded and will be posted on our school website. We will have a live Q&A at the end of this event. So when you submit a question, please include your name. This way we can reach out with any additional information that we may or may not be able to get to in our event. We have our third event that will be coming up next Tuesday as well. This one will focus on study strategies, but for tonight, we focus on some other things from the school counseling perspective. So without further ado, Mr. Commandor.
Good evening and welcome to our second Bobcat Family Connection night. I wanted to thank Mr. Kassouf and Ms. Benfield for putting this together, and again for our school counselors giving up their time this evening to work for the betterment of all of our students and our community. Thank you for being with us this evening. I know it's a busy time of year and there's a lot of things that are going on. So it's with great respect that I have for all of you that have taken your time to meet with us this evening. And again, please, after this evening, don't hesitate to reach out to any of our school counselors or administrators for anything that you need. And also, along the lines of what Mr. Kassouf said, this is being recorded. So please make sure you tell other members of the Bobcat family that were not able to be here this evening to make sure they view it. And Mrs. Benfield will go over that at the end of the evening about what you need to do in order to be able to view that. So again, thank you so much. I hope you guys, I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. Know that we are thinking about all of you. We miss our students. We miss the contact that we see with them every day. And hopefully this evening, you'll be able to find out some things that can help your students. Again, thank you for your time, for being here. Spread the word about what we're doing with these events for other people in our community. And without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Miss Lori Hackett, who is one of our school counselors, and she does the letters G through MI.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you again for joining us tonight as we discuss tips and strategies for helping your child find success during virtual learning. I would like to take this time out to introduce you to your school counselors. Mr. Noss, who extends his apologies tonight for not being able to be with us, has the pleasure of working with students A through F. As Mr. Commander mentioned, I am Ms. Hackett and I am responsible for students G through MI. Ms. Knight is responsible for students MJ through P and all biomed students, and Ms. McKinney follows us in the alphabet with letters Q through Z. And I'll now turn it over to Ms. McKinney.
Good evening, everyone. So I'm Ms. McKinney. I have last names Q through Z. And throughout this presentation, I just want to kind of reiterate what school counselors do. So we, in this virtual world, but also in person, we work with students with academic help. We work with college and career planning, and we also work with students with their social and emotional learning. You'll see on this chart that there's a few resources that are available to you and will be available to you after this presentation, after tonight, I believe tomorrow, that you'll be able to access. So just a few things to go over. We have an It's Learning page for each grade. And it's called the counseling. So it's CO, then the grade, It's Learning page. And we have various resources that we continue to update. So we have a lot of academic help there. With college and career planning, if you haven't heard of Naviance, please ask your student what Naviance is, because they should know by now that there's a lot of really great resources on the Naviance page. If you need help accessing Naviance, please reach out to your child's school counselor. Also continued on the It's Learning page, we have a college checklist. So even for freshmen, we have what you can do to prepare for college. And then for social emotional learning, we have a virtual calming room that's actually made by a bunch of school counselors in HCPS, which is really helpful. A lot of my students have really benefited from going on the virtual calming room, listen to music. We have a bunch of virtual activities that they can use, brain breaks. We have, if you are looking for a counselor for your child, an outside resource, we have counseling services in the area that we can refer you to. And we use, at Bel Air High School, we use KeyPoint. And they've been really, really awesome. So if you're looking for a counselor through Bel Air, just reach out to your child's school counselor. And we also have a permission form that we'd like for you to fill out if you're asking us to work with your child, for the school counselors to work with your child during virtual learning. And yeah, next slide. So what we're hearing, and really we would really love for you to feel as if you're not alone. We want you to feel validated in your frustrations, because you're not alone in this. So a couple of things we threw up here of what we're hearing is, I don't like its learning platform, or I don't even know who's in my classes, so it's hard to connect with others. My student, so from parents, my student isn't doing well in their classes, or I'm not home to make sure my child is attending all their classes. We hear from students really an overall feeling of, I just feel like I can't focus. And that's what I wanted to focus on here, is so we can figure out ways to give you strategies to help your student. So we can go to the next slide. This is an acronym that we came up with that I want you to think about when you are working with your student, to think about this acronym. When something is not working, we want you to think about these strategies that we're giving you tonight, to look back on and think about what you're using now. If it's not working, what can you use? So we have finding original, creative, unique solutions. And so when you're thinking about the word focus, or talking to your student about focusing, it would be really helpful if you thought about these unique and creative solutions. And I believe we are going to Miss Knight for these great solutions. Oh no, I'm sorry, it's Miss Hackett. We're going to go to Miss Hackett for these solutions.
So following up from focus, I'm going to give you basic suggestions for you and your child. Now, please note, these are just suggestions that we are offering to you. First is routine. Do the same things that you were doing prior to virtual learning. Make sure your student is getting up on time, having a set bedtime, taking care of their personal hygiene, getting dressed, those types of things. Change up the work area if you are able to. If your student is sitting at a kitchen table or in their bedroom at a desk, change up the work area. Also, setting goals and reassessing. If something isn't working, try something different. Open conversations, listen and validate. Hear what your child is telling you as far as how virtual learning is going. Patience and grace is very, very important. As we all are working through this together, it's very, very important that we extend grace not only to our child, but also to ourselves. Give a sense of control. Have your child map out exactly what they're going to do for that week. Have them explain to you exactly what they learn in their classrooms. Provide perspective. and seek solutions. Seeking solutions can look like, if this isn't working, has your child reached out to his or her teacher? Has your child expressed that to you? Has your child expressed that to their school counselor? Has your child sought out an appointment on Flex Fridays? Again, all of these are just suggestions for you and your child. As we continue to the next slide, what kind of mindset do you have? First, let's talk about what a mindset is. A mindset is just how you feel, what you believe, and things that make up your worldview. That is a mindset. There are several different mindsets, but we're going to focus on the growth mindset and the fixed mindset. The growth mindset is, for example, anything that's positive, okay? You believe that things are going to be positive. No matter what the outlook is, you have the power of positivity. On the other hand, the fixed mindset is wherever you are, you're stuck in that place. So I'll give you some examples of those. For the growth mindset, we have, I can learn anything I want to. When I'm frustrated, I persevere. I want to challenge myself. When I fall, I learn. Tell me, I try hard. If you succeed, I'm inspired. My effort and attitude determine everything. An example of that would be, if you are not good in math and you try really, really hard, and you know you're not good in math, but quarter one, your grades weren't so great, but you tell yourself, quarter two, I'm going to do better. I'm going to get a tutor. I'm going to have my family members help me. You put the power of positivity so that your growth mindset can improve and change. As far as the fixed mindset, I'm either good at it or I'm not. When I'm frustrated, I give up. I don't like to be challenged. When I fail, I'm no good. Tell me I'm smart. If you succeed, I feel threatened. My abilities determine everything. The same math example. If everyone tells you that you're great at math, then that's the only subject that you think that you're great at. You're stuck there. However, there may be other things that you're good at as well. So combining these two, the growth and the fixed mindset, you just have to help your child realize no matter what the subject area is, they can improve upon each quarter. And we'll transition to the next slide. With Ms. Knight.
What are my child's sensory needs and what can I do to help? This is actually part of the equation or exploring with students and parents when the counselors often get phone calls related to, ooh, my child's not doing so well in their class, or they're reporting some of the things that Ms. McKinney shared in the earlier slide. All the It's Learning tiles look the same to me. I don't know, I can't keep track of my assignments. I'm struggling with my focus. So I think when we give it a different way to look at it, as in sensory needs, it's a way of not making it blameful, a little less defensive for the student. Let's talk about what your needs are and let's pull it outside here and take a look at it. So one way I talk to students about this at the beginning is I'm like, okay, let's think about pre-COVID. Pre-COVID, you would wake up. I don't know if that was via an alarm or your parents. For me, my son tends to like me to flash on the lights for him full force. I'm more of a snooze person myself. Then at some point at 7:45, they're either sitting in homeroom or they're running down the hallways to make it to homeroom on time. And the day begins. Now, by that point, by 8 o'clock in the morning, they've interacted with a bunch of students of their friends. They've been on the phone a couple times. They possibly have had something to eat, and they definitely got to experience some fresh air outside, and maybe a bumpy bus ride or a crowded car ride to school. Think how different that is right now. Some students are just rolling out of bed and turning on the computer and beginning their school day without any of that. That's what I'm talking about with sensory diet. That's what we're talking about when we think about the rest of the day. You and your student have been very planful. You probably had a really good routine going as far as them making it to school on time, getting through the school day, having an opportunity for them. I mean, think about lunchtime. The cafeteria is typically crowded and noisy, and there's a lot of conversation and a lot of activity. What's their lunchtime look like now? Is that really meeting their needs? What are they missing? Think about the end of the school day as far as hanging out after school with friends, participating in clubs, being part of a sports team. They're not getting some of their needs met. They understand that in their head. They get that they're missing that, but they don't know how to meet those needs another way. So what I'm hoping to do is explore with you a little bit and get you to help shift your mindset on how do I look at a sensory diet for my student, their sensory needs, and how do I help them program for that? As adults, we figured it out. For school, the students are used to coming to the school building and relying on their teachers, administrators, and everybody else in that school building, along with their friends, to help meet those sensory needs. That's lacking right now, but we can be creative in the home environment, as you've probably been for work. Think about how you've changed your work situation to make it work. For me, for example, I know I like a window, so I made sure I set up my office in front of a window. I needed 2 screens. I needed to be thoughtful about my lighting and my color. So let's go through some examples with the next slide to help you figure out how you can be more purposeful in having this conversation. Remember, when you start the conversation, it's like collecting puzzle pieces. So let's figure out what's been working. Let's keep what's working, and let's figure out what's not been working and what we can potentially do a little different. And what I try to do when parents first approach me about the grades or students approach me about frustration in classes is collect these puzzle pieces and maybe start with those achievable goals first in setting up the environment. So practical sensory ideas, visually thinking about your workspace. For example, I'll put Miss McKinney out there. Clutter is not her friend. So I know even for her birthday, when they were going to decorate her office, I knew it was going to rock her work day for a little bit. So think about your child's learning environment. Does clutter distract them a little bit? Do we need to think about the lighting by a window, not by a window? Realizing, there are some limitations. You probably have multiple people working from home or learning from home. So we've got to be sensitive about everybody's needs. Having a place a visual timer on their desk. I will share with you, I'm using a timer so I don't talk too long. What are the prompts? What are the supports that we use to help one another? Screen colors. Students don't often think about, let me think about how to change the colors on my screen or the font size. By the end of the day, I know my font size is getting a little bigger. But these are tricks they don't think about. A student earlier today didn't even know how to save something on her desktop to refer it as far as whether it was what order was today as a B day. And during that conversation, her mom looked at her and she was just like, hey, no, you know what today is. And I was like, well, actually, sometimes I forget what the day is. So let's do these visual cues and reminders. Auditory, think about what you need as far as the noise. I'm not great with noise and distraction, so I tend to like a quiet room. But if I've had a lot of Teams meetings, I might think about having some nice soothing background music going on. Help your student not misunderstand this. If they're too distracted by the music, if it's their favorite music, that might not be the best thing playing in the background to compete with their teacher's attention online. Noise canceling headphones, sound machines, these are just some thoughtful ideas. when we think about this restlessness, so often I'm hearing from students, they feel like they have ADHD. They just can't focus. So think about what we can do to help engage their body and meet their body's needs, why they're stuck to this computer right now. Is the chair comfortable? Is it not comfortable? Some students do well sitting on a yoga or an exercise ball. I actually was so excited the other day. I had a parent who actually installed a netting swing in their student's bedroom. I'll tell you, it was visually a little distracting for me having a conversation with the student, but it was the most engaged and the most focused the student had been in a long time. And we were actually able to do some pretty good problem solving. So the point of all this is there's no magic in one of these is going to work. It's about having that dialogue and that conversation with your student about how do we continue to invigorate us, infuse some energy and some hope in COVID, because this virtual learning environment is going to be with us at some level for the rest of the school year. So we've got to keep changing it up, being creative, working through it together. And maybe you can share what you've been doing that's working for you regarding work. At the bottom of this, and everybody will have the opportunity to get this PowerPoint, is a learning style inventory. What we're finding is some of our students don't realize what their strengths or needs are when it comes to the learning environment. As you're having this conversation with your students, create achievable goals. So let's talk about those short goals, like for 1 week, let's try this. Or let's relook at grades in 2 weeks. Give them time for them to be impactful, effective change so that they can be hopeful. Often I set the goals a little small and they can be rather frustrating for the parents more so than the students, but I'm trying to infuse some hope with that and some success. If you're worried about your student, if you're worried that it's not just ADHD, or you can't get the buy-in to the conversation because they just don't care, or they're saying I'm lazy, or it's not working, and they're hopeless. What we're seeing is definitely an increase in anxiety and depression. I think everybody's feeling it from time to time. Please be thoughtful of not just assuming that it's the teenage years and it's what's going on. The impact of COVID is felt pretty deep by everybody right now, including you. So reach out to the school counselors for help, and we can help find resource and supports for you to figure out, is my child suffering from some anxiety, depression, another mental health issue that we need to get addressed? Let's move to the next slide, please. All right, so bookings appointments. So we're missing your students. I'm going to be honest, I'm really used to, as the buses are unloading, a very noisy counseling office. So I think it's a little bit out of sight, out of mind. They're not walking by our office every day, as well as they're fatigued, they're tired, I get it. I am meeting with some students before classes begin, but some are just, they're tired and they're focused on the classes that day. But encourage them to making a bookings appointment with their school counselor. They can find this information on the It's Learning page, the Counseling It's Learning tile, or they can find it at the end of any of our emails. We have click here to make an appointment. We would love to meet our new 9th graders that we haven't had a chance to see their smiling faces. Even our seasoned 11th and 12th graders, it would be nice to have a conversation. So please, please encourage your students to make an appointment, and you're welcome to be part of that appointment. I would love to meet with you also. The counselors would be very excited about that. And that's when we can problem solve together. One advantage of the virtual learning is it's actually provided us an opportunity to have more parent involvement easily because we can work around your environment and most of you guys are at home. Next slide, please. So here's some helpful links that we're providing so that you can explore these on your own. How to make an appointment with a counselor. Mental health providers. So key point is the identified mental health provider for Bel Air High School. So if you call and make an appointment for them, that should help ensure that you can get bumped up on the on the line a little bit because they do have a dedicated school counselor for Bel Air High School. Many of the mental health providers might have a wait list, although with the virtual environment, that is proving to be a little more flexible. Hartford Crisis Center, I can't speak highly enough about them. They are a wonderful resource that we have in the community. So if there is a crisis with anyone in the family, not just your student, they are a resource. They see children, teenagers, young adults, and adults. They do have walk-in, but you can also make an appointment to meet with them. Then I also provided the link for the Hartford County Resource Guide. The government's done a wonderful job of putting together, it's like 92 pages of various resources from support groups in the community to food banks to, I don't know, it's just, there's a lot of helpful information in there, along with mental health providers. A couple other links that we've talked about, and then just helpful articles and exploring a little bit more the impact of COVID on virtual learning and sensory information. So if you were a little curious about a sensory diet, exploring sensory, feel free to reach out to me personally or your school counselor or do some research on your own. So this wraps up our presentation, and if there are any questions in the chat, we'll be happy to be able to facilitate that. Thank you for coming to this evening. We truly appreciate your time.
So again, a reminder for our Q&A. We have just opened that up a moment ago, so you can type your questions in. Please include your name when you type a question. If you are not able to see the Q&A bar on the right side of your screen, you might need to exit the full screen mode, which I believe is at the bottom right of your screen. So if anything that has come up tonight that has triggered a question in your mind, you are free to type that in for us, and our counselors will address those this evening with you live. Otherwise, you are free to, of course, email them directly to get answers to any questions that you might have about the information that was shared this evening, or anything else as it pertains to your child specifically. For those questions, if you would email the school counselor directly. But for tonight, any general questions or things, feel free to type those in. While we're waiting a moment to see if anything comes through, again, just a reminder that next week at 7 o'clock on December 8th, next Tuesday, we will host our third Bobcat Family Connection event, focusing on study strategies for any specific class. I think at this time, we will go to Ms. Benfield to wrap up the evening, as the questions that we see coming through are not so much questions this evening. So thanks to our counseling team for a great job with this event tonight. Ms. Benfield will close us out. And again, if you do have a further question, you may send that by email to the counselors.
Thank you for attending this evening. We appreciate you guys spending a half an hour with us. What we are going to put in the chat now is just a quick survey for you guys to complete. So hopefully we can continue to bring you valuable information through our live talks with you. So we hope you have a great evening, and we will see you again hopefully next week. Have a great night.